For thousands of years, the galaxy believed it had already seen every kind of intelligent species. There were powerful warrior empires, ancient civilizations with knowledge older than most stars, and advanced species whose technology could move planets and control energy beyond imagination. To them, the galaxy was already complete. Then humans arrived. Earth had only recently developed faster-than-light travel. Their ships were small compared to the giant vessels used by the older civilizations. Their technology was new and imperfect. Their government was still learning how to deal with interstellar politics. When the first human delegation arrived at the Galactic Council, many alien leaders were curious. But curiosity quickly turned into quiet amusement. Humans were strange. They argued openly with each other. They asked too many questions. They showed emotions during serious discussions. Some alien observers even described them as chaotic. To the older species, this behavior looked immature. During the first council session that included humanity, dozens of alien ambassadors watched the human representatives carefully. The humans spoke about cooperation, shared exploration, and building a future together in the galaxy. But when they finished speaking, the council chamber remained silent. Then the representative of one of the oldest empires slowly stood up. His species had ruled a large part of the galaxy for over 20,000 years. His voice echoed across the chamber. Humanity is a young civilization. Your passion is impressive, but your experience is limited. Another ambassador spoke next. You have courage. But courage alone does not guide the fate of the galaxy. Then a third voice joined. You must first learn your place among the stars. The words were polite. But the meaning was clear. The galaxy did not take humans seriously. After several hours of discussion, the Galactic Council made its decision. Humanity would not be given access to advanced military technology. They would not participate in major strategic discussions. And they would not be included in important security alliances. Officially, the Council said it was only temporary. But everyone in the chamber understood the truth. Humans were being placed at the bottom of the galactic hierarchy. When the meeting ended, the alien leaders left the chamber one by one, returning to their powerful fleets and ancient worlds. Many of them forgot about humans the moment they left. But the human delegation did not argue. They did not protest. Instead, they simply listened. The human ambassador thanked the council for allowing Earth to join the galactic community. Then he quietly left the chamber with the rest of the human representatives. Some alien observers found this reaction strange. Most species would have been angry. Others would have tried to prove their strength. But humans did something different. They went home. Back on Earth, the Council's decision was studied carefully. Human leaders understood something important. The galaxy did not see humanity as a threat. But it also did not see humanity as useful. That meant humans would receive very little help from the powerful civilizations. But it also meant something else. No one would be watching them closely. Across Earth and its growing colonies, human scientists, engineers, and military planners began working quietly. New ship designs were created. Experimental technologies were tested. Exploration fleets traveled far beyond the borders most alien civilizations considered safe. Humanity was learning. Humanity was preparing. And slowly, without drawing attention, Earth began building something much larger than anyone in the Galactic Council expected. Far away from the political chambers and peaceful trade routes, human explorers started noticing strange signals in deep space. Entire regions of stars had gone silent. Old probes had disappeared. Abandoned alien stations showed signs of sudden destruction. At first, the reports were small and scattered. But over time, a disturbing pattern began to appear. Something was moving through the dark parts of the galaxy. Something powerful. Something that destroyed everything it encountered. Human analysts studied the data carefully. Then they reached a quiet conclusion. The galaxy believed humans were unimportant. But soon, the galaxy would face a danger so great that even its oldest empires would struggle to survive. And when that moment arrived, humanity would be ready. Several years passed after humanity's first meeting with the Galactic Council. Life in the galaxy continued as usual. Trade ships traveled between star systems. Powerful empires expanded their borders. The Council focused on politics, resources, and influence. Humanity stayed quiet. Most alien civilizations barely noticed them anymore. To the powerful species, humans were still a young race trying to find their place among the stars. But far away from the busy trade routes of the galaxy, something strange began to happen. A mining colony in a distant system suddenly stopped sending messages. At first, the Council thought it was just a communication failure. This sometimes happened in distant space. A small investigation fleet was sent. The fleet never returned. Soon after that, another colony went silent. Then another. And another. Within a few months, 5 entire systems had gone completely dark. No signals. No ships. No survivors. Now the Galactic Council could no longer ignore the problem. A large exploration armada was sent to investigate the region. When the fleet finally arrived, the commanders immediately knew something was wrong. The planets were empty. Cities were destroyed. Massive space stations had been torn apart as if they were made of paper. It looked like a war had happened there. But there were no bodies. No wreckage from enemy ships. Just silence. The commanders sent the information back to the Council. Fear slowly began spreading across the galaxy. Then the enemy finally appeared. Without warning, a large alien fleet attacked one of the border defense systems. Their ships were dark, massive, and completely unfamiliar. They did not send messages. They did not request negotiations. They attacked immediately. The defending fleets fought with everything they had. Advanced weapons filled space with explosions and energy fire. But the result shocked everyone. The enemy ships moved with terrifying speed. Their weapons were incredibly powerful. Within minutes, the entire defense fleet was destroyed. The attackers did not stop there. They continued forward, destroying everything in their path. Planets were bombarded. Stations were erased. Every system they entered fell within hours. The Galactic Council quickly gave this mysterious force a name. The Devourers. Because wherever they went, nothing survived. The strongest empires in the galaxy began sending their fleets to stop the invasion. Massive armadas gathered. Thousands of ships prepared for battle. But every time they faced the Devourers, the result was the same. Total defeat. The Devourers seemed unstoppable. Their technology was strange and powerful. Their ships worked together perfectly. And worst of all, they showed no fear. Within a year, dozens of star systems had fallen. Entire civilizations were running from their home planets. The Galactic Council had never faced a threat like this before. Panic slowly spread through the chamber. The oldest empires began arguing. Some demanded larger fleets. Others wanted to evacuate important worlds. But no one had a real solution. During one tense council meeting, a quiet voice suddenly asked a strange question. Where are the humans? At first, many leaders ignored the comment. But then someone checked the reports. Something unusual appeared. Every empire that had fought the Devourers had lost colonies. Every empire had lost fleets. But Earth had not reported a single destroyed system. Not one human colony had fallen. Not one human fleet had been wiped out. This confused the Council. Humans were not known for having powerful technology. Their fleets were smaller than most. So how were they avoiding the Devourers? The Council immediately sent a message to Earth. The request was simple. They wanted information. Hours later, the human ambassador appeared on the council's communication screen. His expression was calm. The council leader spoke first. The galaxy faces extinction. If humanity has information about this enemy, you must share it immediately. The human ambassador listened quietly. Then he gave a surprising answer. Yes. Humanity has information. The council chamber became silent. How long have you known about this threat? One alien commander demanded. The human ambassador paused for a moment. Then he replied. For several years. Shock filled the chamber. Several ambassadors stood up in anger. You knew about this enemy and said nothing? The human ambassador remained calm. We were not certain at first, he explained. But when the evidence became clear, humanity began preparing. Preparing for what? Another leader asked. The human ambassador looked directly at the council cameras. Preparing for war. The chamber became silent again. Because suddenly, the council realized something very strange. While the galaxy had been arguing about politics and power, humanity had been getting ready for the worst. And now the devourers were coming closer every day. Soon, the galaxy would discover exactly what humans had been preparing. The Galactic Council chamber was louder than it had ever been before. Alien leaders argued across the massive hall. Some were angry. Others were afraid. Many simply could not believe what they had just heard. Humanity had known about the devourers for years. And they had said nothing. One of the older council members slammed his hand against the table. You allowed the galaxy to remain unprepared while this enemy moved closer. But the human ambassador did not react with anger. He waited quietly until the room became calmer. Then he spoke in a steady voice. Humanity did not remain inactive. We simply chose to prepare in our own way. The council leader narrowed his eyes. What exactly does that mean? The human ambassador activated a display. A large star map appeared in the center of the chamber. Hundreds of systems were marked across the map. Most of them were familiar to the alien empires. But several regions were highlighted in a different color. These areas were far away from the main galactic trade routes. They were places most civilizations rarely explored. 5 years ago, the ambassador explained, human exploration ships discovered the first signs of the devourers. Strange signals. Destroyed stations. Missing probes. At first, humanity believed it might be pirates or an unknown species passing through deep space. But then human scouts found something disturbing. An entire ancient alien outpost had been destroyed. Not attacked. Not invaded. Erased. Every structure had been torn apart with incredible force. Human scientists studied the damage carefully. And they reached a frightening conclusion. Whatever had done this was not a normal civilization. It behaved more like a force of nature. The devourers did not conquer. They consumed. Once humanity understood this, Earth's leaders made a difficult decision. Instead of announcing the discovery to the galaxy, they chose to study the enemy first. Humanity sent small stealth probes into the dark regions where the devourers were moving. Many probes were destroyed. But some survived long enough to send back valuable data. Slowly, humanity began to understand how the devourers fought. They were fast. Extremely aggressive. And they relied on overwhelming force. But they also had weaknesses. The human ambassador continued explaining. They do not adapt quickly. Their fleets move in predictable patterns. Their ships depend heavily on coordination between central command vessels. Murmurs spread through the council chamber. Alien commanders studied the data appearing on the display. Some of the information shocked them. Because it showed that the devourers were not completely unstoppable. They were simply misunderstood. While the galaxy had been fighting them directly and losing. Humanity had been learning how they worked. For the last 4 years, the ambassador continued, Earth has been preparing defensive strategies. New weapons had been designed. Ships had been rebuilt. Human fleets had trained constantly. But humanity had focused on something even more important than technology. Strategy. The ambassador changed the display again. Now the map showed several human fleets positioned across nearby systems. Alien commanders leaned forward in surprise. These fleets had been hidden. Their numbers were larger than anyone expected. You built all of this without the galaxy noticing, one alien leader asked. The ambassador nodded. Humans were not considered important. No one was watching us closely. A quiet silence spread through the chamber. For years, the galaxy had ignored humanity. And during that time, humans had been preparing for the exact war now threatening everyone. One of the council admirals spoke carefully. If what you say is true, do you believe the devourers can be stopped? The human ambassador looked around the chamber. His voice remained calm. Yes. The single word shocked many leaders. For the first time since the devourers appeared, someone had spoken with confidence. But it will not be easy, the ambassador continued. We cannot defeat them the way you have been fighting. The council leader folded his arms. What do you suggest? The human ambassador smiled slightly. We changed the rules of the war. He expanded the map again. Several star systems appeared highlighted in red. These locations will become the battlefield. Alien commanders quickly realized what he meant. Traps. Ambush points. Strategic choke systems. Humanity had not just been preparing ships. They had been preparing the entire battlefield. And now the devourers were moving closer every day. Soon they would enter the exact region humanity had chosen. The council leader slowly leaned back in his chair. For the first time, the ancient alien realized something important. Humans were not the weakest species in the galaxy. They were simply the most patient. And very soon, the devourers would discover that humanity had been waiting for them. The first battle did not begin with a massive fleet. It began with silence. In a distant star system near the outer edge of human-controlled space, a small group of alien scouts waited nervously. They had been sent by the Galactic Council to observe humanity's plan. None of them fully trusted it. For years, the strongest empires in the galaxy had tried to stop the devourers with overwhelming force. Every time, their fleets had been destroyed within minutes. Now humanity was promising victory using a completely different strategy. Many alien commanders were skeptical. The star system chosen for the battle looked ordinary. A single yellow star burned quietly in the center while several rocky planets slowly circled it. But hidden across the system, human ships were waiting. They were positioned behind moons, inside asteroid fields, and near the outer edges of the system where sensors could not easily detect them. Hundreds of ships remained completely silent. No signals. No movement. Just waiting. Then the devourers arrived. A dark ripple appeared at the edge of the system as their fleet exited faster than light travel. The alien observers felt a chill run through them. Even after all the reports they had read, the sight of the devourer fleet was terrifying. Their ships were massive and black, shaped like jagged blades drifting through space. Thousands of them moved together like a swarm. They did not slow down. They did not scan the system carefully. They simply moved forward, just as humanity predicted. Inside one of the hidden command ships, the human fleet admiral watched the sensors calmly. Admiral Elena Navarro had spent most of her life studying the devourers. She knew their patterns. She knew their habits. And she knew exactly what they were about to do. They are entering the first zone, one officer reported. Navarro nodded. Hold positions. Minutes passed. The devourer fleet continued deeper into the system. Alien observers watching from distant stations felt confused. Why weren't the humans attacking? Then the Devourers reached the center of the trap. Now, Navarro said quietly. Suddenly the entire system came alive. Dozens of hidden satellites activated at the same time. Massive energy fields appeared across several regions of space. The Devourer fleet slowed as strange distortions disrupted their movement. Before they could react, the second part of the trap activated. Human ships emerged from every direction. Instead of attacking directly, they began targeting specific ships inside the Devourer formation. Large command vessels. Communication relays. Navigation ships. Precise strikes destroyed them one by one. The Devourer fleet immediately became disorganized. Without their command ships coordinating movement, the massive swarm began drifting into confusion. Human fleets moved quickly, striking isolated groups and retreating before the Devourers could respond. Alien observers watched in complete shock. For the first time in history, the Devourers were losing ships faster than their enemy. Explosions filled space. Black Devourer vessels shattered under coordinated attacks. Within an hour, nearly a third of the Devourer fleet had been destroyed. The remaining ships attempted to regroup. But every direction they turned, another trap waited. Gravity mines slowed their movement. Hidden weapon platforms fired from asteroid fields. Human strike ships attacked weak points and vanished again. Admiral Navarro watched the battle unfold calmly. She knew the Devourers relied on overwhelming force. Without organization, they were vulnerable. Phase 3, she ordered. The largest human ships finally entered the fight. Heavy battlecruisers moved forward, their weapons firing powerful bursts of energy into the remaining Devourer vessels. The battle was no longer a trap. Now it was a hunt. Within 3 hours, the once massive Devourer fleet was collapsing. Alien commanders observing the battle could barely believe what they were seeing. For the first time since the invasion began, the Devourers were retreating. The surviving ships turned and attempted to escape the system. Navarro allowed it. "Let them run," she said. Her officers looked surprised. "Admiral, we could destroy them completely." Navarro shook her head. "No." She looked at the tactical display showing the escaping ships. "They need to return to their main fleet." The officers slowly understood. The Devourers would report what had happened. They would tell the rest of their forces that humanity was different. That humans fought in ways the Devourers had never expected. And that fear would spread through their ranks. Navarro leaned back in her chair. The first battle was over. But the real war was just beginning. And now the entire galaxy had seen something they never believed was possible. The Devourers could be defeated. And humanity had just proven it. News of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than any ship could travel. At first, many civilizations refused to believe it. For years, every empire that fought the Devourers had suffered terrible defeat. Entire armadas had disappeared. Strong planetary defenses had been crushed in minutes. But now the reports were clear. A single human fleet had destroyed a massive Devourer force. And even more surprising, they had done it without losing many ships. Across the galaxy, alien leaders began studying the battle recordings. The footage showed human ships moving in ways that seemed strange to traditional commanders. They did not charge forward with overwhelming power. They did not try to prove their strength. Instead, they moved carefully, patiently, and with perfect coordination. They attacked weaknesses. They used traps. They turned the battlefield itself into a weapon. For many ancient civilizations, this way of fighting felt unusual. But it was also incredibly effective. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, the atmosphere had completely changed. The same leaders who once ignored humanity were now watching the human ambassador with quiet respect. The council leader slowly stood up. For a moment, the massive hall remained silent. Then he spoke. Humanity has achieved something the rest of the galaxy believed impossible. The human ambassador remained calm. This was only the first victory, he replied. The Devourers still have many fleets. One of the military commanders nodded seriously. We understand. But now we also understand something else. He looked around the chamber before continuing. The galaxy cannot win this war alone. Several council members exchanged uneasy glances. For thousands of years, the most powerful empires believed they controlled the fate of the galaxy. Now that belief had changed. The council leader turned toward the human ambassador again. Will humanity lead the defense against the Devourers? The ambassador paused for a moment before answering. Humanity will fight, he said. But we will not fight alone. A large display appeared above the council chamber. It showed the locations of human fleets across several nearby systems. But something else appeared as well. Dozens of alien fleets had begun moving toward those same locations. Civilizations that once competed for power were now joining the same defensive lines. The Devourers had become a threat to everyone. And now, for the first time in galactic history, the entire galaxy was beginning to unite. Weeks later, more battles followed. Human commanders shared their strategies with alien fleets. They taught them how to disrupt Devourer formations. How to target their command vessels. How to fight with patience instead of brute force. Slowly, the results began to change. Devourer fleets that once destroyed entire systems were now struggling against coordinated defenses. They still fought fiercely. But they were no longer unstoppable. System by system, the Devourers began losing ground. Several months later, the final battle took place near the outer edge of the galaxy. The largest Devourer fleet ever recorded gathered there. Thousands of ships prepared for one last attempt to break through the defensive lines. But this time they did not face a divided galaxy. They faced a united one. Human fleets led the strategy. Alien armadas supported the battle plan. The fight lasted for hours. Explosions filled the darkness of space as fleets clashed with incredible force. But by the end of the battle, the result was clear. The Devourers were defeated. Their remaining ships scattered into deep space, retreating beyond the edges of the known galaxy. For the first time in years, the war was over. Days later, the Galactic Council gathered once again. This meeting was very different from the one years before. When the human ambassador entered the chamber, every leader stood in respect. No one laughed. No one questioned humanity's place anymore. The council leader spoke slowly. The galaxy once believed it did not need humans. He paused before finishing his sentence. We were wrong. The ambassador gave a small smile. Humans had never needed recognition. They had simply done what was necessary. Because humanity understood something many older civilizations had forgotten. Strength was not about power alone. It was about determination. It was about preparation. And when the galaxy faced its greatest danger, humanity had been ready.